Hi, this is Uwe, Delta Golf 2 Yankee Charlie Bravo. Yeah, we have a new release ready for download. It is the second release candidate of version 2.0, both of WSJT-X and WSJT-X improved. And I like to take this opportunity to show you the new features and also perhaps a more general comparison of these two really nice pieces of software. So let's start. Well, here you see in my setup these two instances running concurrently, both of which are connected with my ISO FT991 transceiver. So each of them gets the same audio signal. To the right here is the original WSJT-X, and to the left the standard version of WSJT-X Improved Plus. Well, when I mention the word standard version, then I come automatically to one of the major differences between these two. WSJT-X, the original version, there is only one version available with this user interface layout you see here. WSJT-X Improved comes with three different user interfaces. Unfortunately, it is not possible to switch between these three. For that reason, you have individual installers for the various versions. So just to give you an idea about the other two versions which are available, I like to show you here. This is the widescreen version. It is more suitable for example, laptops where you have a limited amount of space. As you can see, I have shifted here the entire control block to the right part of the window, which, especially when you hide the menus, gives you here a much larger space for the band activity window. This is quite useful to see the incoming decodes without the necessity of scrolling that much. This is the widescreen version. And then there is also a so-called AL version. AL stands for alternative layout or alternate layout. This is this one here. This is the most compact view you can get. All of these three versions have the same features, the same functions, they work the same. The only difference is the graphical user interface. My personal favorite, by the way, is this AL version. I developed that because usually I have here on my computer more than one instance is running. And if you have that and you like to get an overview on the various versions running concurrently, I really like this compact view, especially also here when you hide the menus. It is then a very, very good overview on the incoming decodes, and the mode buttons are then here, and the control elements are arranged in this way where you get a little more compact view. Alright, but for the comparison of WSJT-X Improved with the original WSJT-X, let's stay with the standard version, so it is easier for me to show you the differences. Well, let's start, for example, with the settings. let's open that for both versions. And there you see already some differences. As WSJT-X has the same source code kernel, the basic functions are all the same as with the original WSJT-X. So even both versions, by the way, are compiled on the same computer and developed more or less by the same person or persons, so you can trust both of them. As you can see, we have all the options which we have with the original WSJT-X, also still with WSJT-X improved, but there are some more. All right, so let's go in brief through it so that you see the differences. Well, by the way, these settings here are more or less the settings which I personally recommend also to new users. Perhaps just pause the video and see what things I have here enabled and disabled. So this could be a good starting point also for you when you are not so familiar with that. In case you have not at all an idea what I am talking about here, what all this is good for, those of you I recommend to start with some other videos available on the internet, or just to read the user guide, because this is not a video presentation for absolute beginners. This is for some for users who really know what WSJT-X is and what can it be used for, and users who are only interested in these differences and in particular the new features of the release candidate 2. All right, so just in brief, new here is, for example, you can map messages with grid, or for messages with grid, you can map this grid locator to your states. It only works partly because a 4-digit grid is not specific enough each time to differentiate between the various US states. Nonetheless, I think it's a helpful option to have that displayed here. And I recommend also to enable this here, show US states in messages with grid, because then it is not only be shown for CQ or 73 containing messages, but for all messages. Then we have here the so-called wait features, which are really nice features. I think it's worth to make a separate video on that topic, but I highly recommend you to enable the wait features. Alternate erase button behavior means that if you have here the normal erase button, means one click on that, double click on that clears the band activity window, one click clears the RX frequency window. And with the alternate erase button behavior, it works like with JTDX. A right click on erase button, oh, I have to close it. A right click on the erase button clears the RX frequency window, and a left click on the erase button clears the band activity window. So this is, in my eyes, more intuitive, and it's very helpful if you, for example, like to keep one of them and only want to delete or clear the other column. Yeah, then I have here in my improved version the possibility to show distance and or azimuth in messages with grid. Perhaps I show this first to you. Here you see the normal messages, which you have also here with the original WSJT-X. If you here go to the right, there is nothing more than what you see. But if you here go to the right, then you see what I'm talking about. When you have enabled that, you can automatically display the distance and or the bearing of the azimuth of that station. And you see, I've already programmed that in a way that the position of this slider is remembered. So you can, for example, if you like to temporarily have an eye on that, or perhaps only on the distances, you can just move this slider to a position which is right for you, and it keeps this position. This is not the case here for the original WSJT-X, but here in this case we don't need that. But with this additional option to display the distance and so on, it makes a lot of sense. Well, and as this is now here displayed in such a way, you can with this here, align NCCC distance azimuth, you can bring it to a table-like design. This is what I have it here, and you can adjust here the distances between the elements. For example, let's perhaps hide the azimuth, show only the distance. Let's go up to 5 here and to 2 here, and this would mean, look, that this was from 1 to 2 here. You can adjust this space here, because I found it a little bit sometimes here. Look, for longer messages, this space is not enough. You can adjust it here. And the +5 means that the distance now is shown much more to the right. Well, this is quite useful for fine-tuning the display. Let's go back to 0 and perhaps 1. All right, so this is was already a couple or some of the differences. We have already implemented in our original WSJT-X some of my improved features. What is implemented or has been implemented since 2.6.0 was the mode buttons, so that you have an option, the possibility here to directly switch between the modes here just by clicking the mode buttons, and also the famous H button, where you can with one click go to hound mode or back, which is quite useful. These features of the WSJT-X improved have been adopted here also to the original WSJT-X, and also the option to highlight also messages with Roger or 73 or 73. This was also originally a feature that was developed here by me for my WSJT-X improved. But here you see some more differences, and it is about the highlighting scheme, the color scheme. Well, usually WSJT-X has a different highlighting color scheme than I'm using it here. This is the original WSJT-X color scheme, where you are likely familiar with it. Well, it is good and works well, and if you are familiar with it and happy with it, stay with it. No reason to change that. However, for me personally, for my eyes, some of the colors were not the best, and especially as with my versions, you can also enable the dark style with just one click. These really bright, intensive colors are not that much eye-friendly, at least not for me, there was a reason why I personally developed a slightly different color scheme. And well, of course, you can just modify it here manually. It's has always been possible to do so. But I thought it was a good idea. Why not to make an option that the user can switch between both color schemes with one click, or with 2 clicks. So here, just here, result decode highlighting. And if you do that with 2 clicks, you are now back to my color scheme, which I here call the so-called improved color scheme. This color scheme uses more pastel-like tones, which is a little bit more eye-friendly, and which especially also works quite well with the dark style. This is one of the new features introduced with release candidate 2, and as you see, for improved only. Another thing which is specific here for WSJT-X improved, and which is also been new here for the RC2 version, is this one. You can, for example, highlight certain call signs for your friends or whatever. I don't see where is some thumb here. Let's take just one call sign, F1 JUM, hoping that the station is still on the air, or somebody from Belarus. 8 whiskey. It is important that you put a comma behind all the call signs. This is used as a separator and also used as a sign where is the end of the call sign. Because if you, for example, like to highlight Echo Whiskey 8 Whiskey, you don't want to highlight Echo Whiskey 8 Whiskey Alpha or so. So I need an end mark, and for that I use the comma. Or here, I don't know, K1JT, or my call sign. It's not necessary to put spaces here in, by the way. And if that is enabled, then if such call signs are detected, then it will be highlighted with the mentioned color. Let's see if these call signs reappear here on the band. Otherwise, just believe me that it works. Perhaps let's wait just one. Yeah, here you can see here. Echo Whiskey 8 Whiskey is now highlighted with orange background and white foreground color. All right, so this was already a couple of the new features. But let's go through the other tabs. Perhaps we do it just from the left to the right. As already said, in the General tab you find here a couple of extra features which is exclusive for the improved versions. The Radio tab is identical between these two versions. As I'm running these two versions here with my ISO rig, I'm using here the OmniRig module as the driver for my rig, but usually I would have set here the so-called Hamlib drivers. Yeah, this is perhaps also interesting for all of you to know, as we have unfortunately again and again some issues with Hamlib, what it's all about and how to deal with it and how to overcome that. Perhaps it's worth a few words on that. Well, if you go through the list here, you see some more or less all of these entries here are about specific rigs, no? ICOM and so on, ISO and so on and so on. And as long as you do not use Ham Radio Deluxe or OmniRig 1 or 2 or the DX Lab Suite Commander, all the other ones, all these individual rig names, if you select that, it means that you are using Hamlib as the driver for your rig. No? So for example, if I would go here to ISO FT991, this would mean my rig would then be here at COM6. If I then would click here on OK, this would mean that then my rig would be connected via the Hamlib driver. And if that is the case, and if there is any issue, the recommendation is always to try the latest Hamlib. Mike is really doing his very, very best to keep that up to date. It's a really huge database for all the rig drivers, and believe me, there is more work on that than you can imagine, because with the firmware update, the commands can change, then there are more new rig models coming, and so on and so on. So in case there is any trouble with the connection between WSJT-X or WSJT-X Improved and your rig, and you are connected, that is important, and you are connected via one of these individual rig names here, rig drivers, then it is very good to update first the Hamlib. It is for Windows quite easy. You just have to copy one single file, a DLL file, to the right location, start WSJT-X again, and you have the new Hamlib already implemented. But those of you who are using, like me here, OmniRig or Ham Radio Deluxe or something like that, they are working with a complete different scheme. They don't have anything to do with Hamlib, no? So don't mix that up. What is also quite important here is that you should enable so-called split operation. Split operation means that when you are transmitting on the lower or higher end of the audio passband, then it is wise to not to do it like it is shown here. For example, if I would select here more or less 200 Hertz as the my transmit frequency, if I would do that with my ISO FT991, the output power would not be the best here, because it is best in this center part of the audio spectrum. And I would also create some audio harmonics, which you would see here in a not very good way. For that reason, it is very important that you have it here, fake it or rig. Perhaps the word fake it is not the best. I personally don't like it, because I don't want to fake anything, by the way. It simply means a software emulation using one VFO of your rig for these frequency changes. And when rig is selected, then it uses two VFOs of your rig, A and B, and switches to the different VFO. I personally like the fake it, because this software this emulation here is fast, it is reliable for most of the rigs. So I recommend this setting for you. Okay, audio is also identical with the two versions. As you know, you have to select the proper input and output sources or sinks from your sound card. TX macros is identical between both versions. Reporting is more or less also identical with these versions. I have here the additional possibility to enable special operating activity to comments. That means if there is a special operating activity switched on, for example, one of the contests, then this is written to the log file, which is quite helpful for you to have that. Here, as said, it is of course identical between both. I recommend this address here, 224.0.0.1. This is the multicast address, and this is the classic way here. With this multicast address, you are able to connect, for example, external programs just with this address, even if you are running more than one instances. All right. Yeah, frequencies, as you know, we introduced with the 2.6 version a more sophisticated table here, where you can put in more than one frequencies and also a description and start time and end time and so on. This is the same here with the original WSJT-X and WSJT-X improved. The difference is that I have here for my improved versions already the expedition frequencies put in. For example, here you see not only the default frequency 24.915 megahertz, but also the 911 frequency, which would mean the de-expedition frequency, for example. No? And you can set the preference here for that frequency where your rig goes to when you switches the band, which usually should be the standard operating frequencies. And so it is the same as you have it here with the original version. However, I have some more entries here already in. For example, also the 10 gigahertz download frequency for the Oscar 100 satellite, which is quite popular here in Europe. All right, yeah, colors we had already. Advanced is also more or less the same. The only difference, or there are two differences. One is that the plus versions of WSJT-X have here CloudLog support. CloudLog is a logbook, an online logbook, and those of you interested in that can here directly connect to their logbook and upload the new QSOs directly to this CloudLog service. And the second difference is, and that is also new here with the release candidate 2. As you know, I had a special version for the NCCC sprint contest, and the NCCC sprint contest uses a short message protocol for the FT4 messages. It is a sprint contest. It works, as far as I understand, only, or it runs only half an hour, so really high power. And the goal is to make as many QSOs as you like. And this short message protocol helps you, of course, to get a higher number of QSOs. And WSJT-X now, WSJT-X improved now supports with all versions this particular contest. So there is from now on no longer any special version needed for that. Just go here to the advanced section, enable NAVHF, and make this checkbox here, enable this checkbox here, and you have the NCCC Sprint short message protocol switched on. All right, and then we have here with the WSJT-X improved 2 more tabs. One is Alerts and the second one is Filters. Alerts is a built-in feature which allows you to get audible alerts for certain alert categories. Now, the alert categories are the same as we have here for the highlighting, but in addition to that, you can, for example, be directly informed if, for example, a new DXCC is there. If that is enabled, then it is really said new DXCC or so. If somebody is calling you and you have this enabled here, then when somebody is calling you, you hear a voice saying calling you. And this is quite useful, especially when you work on Linux. We all know that Laurie's program JT Alert does all of that at its best, so this is not meant as a competition to that or something like that. But simply when you are working on Linux, for example, there is no JT Alert, and it is quite useful in some cases to have that. It makes no sense to have all of that categories here enabled. For me, it makes most sense, for example, here, like I have it just to be alerted in that way when there is a new DXCC or when somebody is calling you. This could also be interesting, perhaps just new continent on band or so, but don't select too many categories here. It is best here to stay with such. Okay, and now comes the filters function, the filters feature. Well, I received a couple of user requests. I mentioned that already in one of my other video presentations when these things were under development. And they wanted me to program it in a way that the user can temporarily hide certain territories or maybe even continents. So far we had here the existing categories, the blacklist, the whitelist, and the so-called always pass list. And we had already in the last version also the possibility here to use these for weight and pounce only, and to apply these filters only to call signs for calling stations, which means that this is all these filters are only used for the word of the message, which usually contains the call sign of the calling station. However, I spent a couple of hours to improve all that, and now this works in a much more reliable and also in a better way. And new here in release candidate 2 is this here, that you can also specify up to 4 territories. So let's do it. For example, let's type in here it in a way as you see it here. You see it here as USA, so type in here USA. You can, for example, also type in Russia. You do not have to type in EU Russia or AS Russia. When you type in Russia, this means that both the European part and the Asiatic part would be hidden. Or here, for example, if I take my country where I am in here, Germany, so let's for testing specify perhaps these categories or these territories here. We have here in Europe, unfortunately, a couple of pirate stations working from this one here from the Donetsk region. But sorry, this is not an official call sign. Either they think they are still part of the Ukraine, then it would be a uniform radio call sign, or they believe they are now part of the of Russia, then it would be a radio alpha call sign or so. But D1DX is simply a nice sounding fantasy call sign, but from the legal point of view it is nothing than a pirate station. And this is pretty much of annoyance here in Europe, and really a lot of users requested me, Uwe, find a way to block that. Me personally, this is not important, so, but if somebody really want to block these, just type in here this call sign and enable this as a blacklist. Then all messages from this station are hidden. All right, so let's for testing type in here these 3 territories, and then I can show you what you can do with it. When you now go to the view menu, you see you have here much more entries than you have here for the original WSJT-X. Here you can now, with one click, for example, hide call signs from USA. Well, here's a station from the USA, 1319, something here, so likely it comes again. And when this filter is set, then the call sign is now hidden, temporarily hidden. It makes sense when you are, for example, just like to hide temporarily the contiguous United States. If you are just looking for DX call signs, or here in Germany or in Europe, some people like to block some countries. Okay, you can do it now. And what you also see here, when you have put in these country names here, then here the word territory 1, 2, 3, 4 have now automatically changed to the country which you specified in settings. Well, hide call signs from USA or Russia or Germany. And with one click, everything is now gone, and you see that. What you also see here is, and this is also new with the release candidate 2, as long as you have any filter set which potentially leads to not all call signs being displayed, not all messages being displayed, then it is now shown here in this field. Usually you see here in green this receiving, and now here you see receiving filters on. Why is this the case? Simply because I, for example, put this call sign here on the blacklist. This gives me an idea, oh, there is a filter set. Well, the same is, so let's remove it here. Then you see it automatically changes back to the green receiving, but the same is, for example, true if you here select CQ only, or here in my case CQ or 73 only, then this is switched to receiving filters on. This is also quite useful not to forget that perhaps a filter has been set. Okay, now you have seen already quite a number of improved features, of additional features, and One is here with the this combo box. Here with the original WSJT-X, we have here three options. CQ none, which means if you are calling CQ, you will not automatically answer to anyone's reply. You have to do it manually just by double clicking. Makes a lot of sense. Some users prefer this CQ first, so that means that the first station which replies to your CQ call is automatically responded to. Here it is the same. And Joe programmed for one of the contests this feature, this CQ max distance feature. However, it works here in this for this original WSJT-X really more or less only for this specific contest mode, because you have to enable here the active stations window, and this is required for this here. And also then I had a couple of reports that this is not working so well and so on. And at the same time I got user request for some more options here. For example, for CQ max DB, you might say, okay, CQ max DB, I like to reply to weak signals but not to the strongest. But the old man requesting for this feature is located at an island where the incoming signals are really weak, and you can imagine that his call sign is highly demanded, so everybody calls him. But when he then replies to the stations, he said in 50% of the cases I never ever hear the next reply. So I like to have a feature where I can automatically reply to the strongest station replying to his CQ call. For that reason I programmed this CQ max DB. Then of course the next user came and said, oh, when you have this CQ max DB, I like to have a CQ min DB, because I really like to answer to the weakest stations. And that is the reason why we now have here these 5 options here: CQ non, CQ first, CQ max DB, max distance, max DB and min DB. And I completely programmed a new algorithm for the CQ max distance function, which also works for all normal cases. So it is here no longer required to have this active stations window visible, and it also works for the normal QSO situation, so feel free to use that. Okay, for I think it is would be a little bit too much if I explain all the weight features. I think I will do that in another video. But what I like to show you here is the difference regarding the WideGraph. As you see, the traditional WideGraph here, as we have it here for WSJT-X, is in a way when I move my hover my mouse pointer here over this waterfall, then the frequency is displayed but nothing more. And well, as you know, JTDX has it in a way that you have here these nice guardrails, so that you can, for example, if there's a weak station, directly go here and see where's the station, or where's a free slot here. And I implemented that here also to my WSJT-X Improved. And it's of course optionally, so you can switch this on and off. If you disable here the bars, then you have it in the same way as the original WSJT-X has it. But if you enable here these bars, then it works like you see it. You see where's your TX frequency, your RX frequency, and so on. And you can theoretically also here switch off the frequencies. Now this is not possible here, so that you just work with the bars, with these guardrails. And another thing I implemented here is this one. Here with the original WSJT-X, the timestamp is always here to the left, which is unfortunately the position where also the first signals are there. And here with WSJT-X improved, you have three options. You can do it to the left, so as we have it for the original WSJT-X, to the right, this is what you see it here, or simply switch it off, so that there is no timestamp at all. So this gives you the same options as you have also when using JTD-X or JTD-X improved, by the way. So look, here's now no further timestamp. Okay, let's switch it on again to the right position, which is my favorite, by the way. Okay, so these have been the major differences between WSJT-X and WSJT-X improved. And let's click here on halt a little bit. One difference is also, well, we spent a lot of time and a lot of efforts in bringing the decoder sensitivity, especially for FT8 and for FT4, especially for FT8, to its limit, you know. Steve K9AN really made some great improvements. Joe made some really great improvements to that. So the original WSJT-X has already a really great decoder sensitivity. So don't be disappointed about that. It is really great and works pretty well. However, I spent hundreds of hours in just tweaking a couple of internal parameters, and I managed to bring it a little bit more towards even more sensitivity. And you see from time to time, for example here, from time to time it simply brings you one or two more decodes. The computing power for that is a little higher. I think it's around 2 or 3% higher, but then you get, according to my studies here, about 0.5% more decodes for FT8 and also for FT4 with WSJT-X in comparison with the original WSJT-X. So this is also quite interesting for you to know. Well, and one thing what I also like to show you is this one here. The original WSJT-X has here two tabs. One is the normal tab which you use when you do a normal operation. The second tab is used when you are a Fox station. And I have here, of course, the same. But I have also a tab 3. And tab 3 does the following. It does band hopping. And it does the following. Just select here. These are the FT8 frequencies. You see here the tooltip shows you what this means. A couple of FT4 frequencies. Even a couple of the expedition frequencies. Just enable that here. And enable this here, band hopping. And then every other full minute, the frequency would automatically hop to the next band. So we would expect that 2 minutes after I switched it on here, it should switch to the 60-meter band, and after that to the 30-meter band, and after that to the 70 meter band, and so on and so on. You can directly enable or disable here the frequencies. It has an immediate effect. What is it good for? Simply, if you have a wideband antenna and you are spotting to a PSK reporter, then you can generate with that a map which is then directly where you can directly see your signals. These are the stations which have been received here at my location with my inverted L antenna, and I have it here in my location arranged in a way that I usually have the a receiver, an SDR receiver, running more or less 25 hours a day, and I'm using this band hopping feature exactly for this particular purpose, so that the SDR receiver switches every other full minute to the next band. Look, now the frequency has automatically been changed to 60 meters, and after 2 minutes it switches to that what you have here. So this is also a possibility for you for some applications, for example, like I showed you. This is also exclusively only for WSJT-X improved. All right, I think this is enough for now. The weight features are very, very interesting. Just in brief, if you put in here a call sign, then the first wait feature is automatically enabled. It is wait and reply. You see it with this yellow color here, and this means that when you are in QSO with a certain station, let's assume I'm in QSO with K1JT, and the signal of the other station disappears due to QSB, and you are waiting, of course, for his final 73 message or so, then the traditional way is to call him and to call him and to call him and to call him, and all the other stations say, oh, why is this OM so stupid, simply permanently generating QRM on the bands. Yes, call him 2 times, 3 times, but then simply disable enable TX, and once you have done that, this call sign is still here in your DX call field. It means that when then K1JT in this case will finally send you the 73 message, then you will automatically reply to him, only to this particular call sign. Now, it means that if a station disappears in a QSB hole and comes back to you, only to you, and you are not already in QSO with the next station, that means you are still waiting for his reply. You do no longer need to call and to call and to call. Just press hold TX or enable TX and wait, and reply automatically replies to that station when this station sends you the final message. This is quite useful. Or you have finished a QSO with a certain station, and this station didn't get your Roger Roger 73 message, for example, comes back with a TX3 message to you. Then as long as you are not already in the next QSO, then also wait and reply will reply to the other station a second time and send the other station a second time a Roger Roger 73, which is quite useful. WSJT-X has the same, but only for but only when you are in the hound mode. Yeah, by the way, you saw already this is a false decode, and this is occurs, well, very seldomly, but it of course can occur. But as you see, it also occurs with the original WSJT-X, so don't expect that WSJT-X, only WSJT-X generates this kind of false decodes. WSJT-X, by the way, has here a so-called false decode reduction, FDR. So you can select here this option, reduce false decodes, and once it is enabled, it searches the incoming messages for the probability of is that a valid message, yes or no. For example, this message would surely have been picked out and been hidden in this case. So for those of you who are interested in reducing the number of false decodes furthermore, you have here this new option, reduce false decode. Now this is not here for the original WSJT-X, so let's keep it for a while. It does not reduce the sensitivity of the decoder. However, for certain message types which are not very common, for example, if somebody comes with a stroke R call sign, which is these rovering stations, which is for these rovering stations in North America. By the way, here in Germany, we will get the same in the next year. We got a new ham radio law here, and we will have this stroke R for remote control stations. So we will see in the future more of these stroke R call signs, but at the moment, these stroke R call signs, for example, more or less are 30-40% of the false decodes. And for example, for these stroke R call signs, here when this false decode reduction is enabled, the level of certainty is a little bit set higher for these particular messages. So it not generally reduces the sensitivity. However, for certain types of messages, the level of certainty is set higher until the decode is displayed. Especially when you work on the VHF bands, it can be useful to enable that. This is also one of the extra features of WSJT-X improved. Okay, but let's finally continue with the wait features. The second wait feature is wait and call. Here, this is simply a label. You cannot click on it, it does nothing. Here it is a button. If you click on that, it turns red. And now you have wait and call enabled. And this means that you are waiting for this station to reappear. Typical application is you and 100 others are calling a rare DX station, and you hear the station from time to time, then it disappears into the QSB, and then it comes back, and in most time it is in QSO with the somebody else, and you of course don't want to miss the moment when this station comes back, and you like to call the station. In this case, this is automatically be done here by the wait and call feature. So again, this is meant just to clear a little bit, or to keep the frequencies more clean. Of course, you can call and call and call and call this station, but a more intelligent way is just to call them 1, 2, 3 times, then stop your calling and left click here on the DX call button, so that wait and call is active, and this means as soon as in this case K1JT would reappear here on the bands, you would automatically call this station up to 3 times. Then the either the other station responds to you, or if that is not the case, then it goes over to the wait and reply feature, so that you would theoretically respond to that station. None of these features can be used for any fully automatic operation. I'm really taking really care of that because I'm of the opinion that fully automatic QSOs have nothing to do with good operating practice. We are not robots, and I do not want to have QSO with robots. But these are really nice assistance feature which help you, which assist you. You are the one in control, and it cannot be used for ongoing, for continuous QSOs. It can only be used for one particular QSO. Yeah, then the next feature, which is here specific for WSJT-X improved, is when you, for example, have these generated standard messages here, and when you right click on this DX call field, when you right click on that, then this clears the entire messages and of course the DX call field. So right click on that and you clear the DX call field. This is quite useful for some applications where you need to have an empty field. Now this is also not possible here. If you here, for example, would do the same, generate that, and here, look, nothing happens. Here, as seen, just right-click here, and it is cleared. No? Yeah, and the last of the wait features is wait and pounce. And this means the following. If let's take, for example, CQ max distance. Well, lots of let's stop bunter hopping, by the way, and perhaps go back to 20 meters. And well, lots of people calling CQ, and at least my impression is that they are calling CQ and CQ and CQ, and only a few stations are answering these CQ calls. And I thought, why not to use these existing algorithms here also for a feature which is called wait and pounce, and which means, let's for example select that, right click the enable TX button, it turns orange, and now you are waiting for incoming CQ calls. Look, and that was the farthest distance. I will stop it because I don't like to make a QSO with the station. It searched all over the incoming stations and selected that one with the greatest distance. The farthest distance station was automatically selected, and the QSO is started with this station. So with this you can just right click here, and now you are ready again for, I will stop it here, you are ready again for incoming CQ calls and can answer them automatically. Well, quite useful to have. It uses, as I said, the same algorithms are programmed here. And so this is the third of the 3 wait features. First, again, wait and reply. It is automatically switched on when you have a call here in the DX call box. You can reply to a station which disappears for a short time in a QSB hole, and it will automatically send the missing message for you as long as you are not in a QSO with another station. The second one was wait and call. This is one step more, if you like. If this station reappears after a longer period of QSB, then you will call the station up to 3 times. Then it will go over to the wait and reply feature. And the third one is wait and pounce. This is here, which I showed you, where you can select here certain criteria. And once you right click here on that button, you will automatically reply to incoming CQ calls, which can also make a lot of fun just to see who is calling, and let's answer, for example, the weakest one, or the with farthest distance, and so on and so on. Yeah, that was more or less all the additional features of WSJT-X improved. I showed you also the new features we have here introduced with the release candidate 2. I hope you enjoy it. And in case anything doesn't work as expected, let me know. Otherwise, I wish you all the best. 73, good luck, and hope to see you on the bands. Delta Golf 2 Yankee Charlie Bravo, bye bye, 73.